came to this event because I realized that there are tremendous challenges in Silicon Valley around issues of poverty and inequality amidst the tremendous wealth that's here. And I hope to gain more insight about what people are thinking about that, what kind of solutions they're looking to see evolve, and what opportunities there are to collaborate with people that are interested in these issues.
AbelWorks does some really great stuff in the community and is really trying to address the root causes of inequalities and different opportunities that people have. I'm just excited that, someone is addressing this.
This is a wonderful forum to have a conversation about the issues the community I live in is facing. It's a great intersection between social justice and Silicon Valley and a world that is all about innovation. And how do we have conversations that not only will stretch us, but also will allow us to express our emotions and our feelings about what's going on in our backyard.
I'm here to learn more about AbelWorks. I'm interested in community development, especially in the ways that AbelWorks has been able to do that, and also figuring out how entrepreneurship intersects with the alleviation of poverty around the Bay Area.
I'm here, and pleased to be here, to learn more about exciting social sector innovations and to network with a really amazing group of people.
I'm here to just gain a better understanding what we have in our community, the poverty gap that we are experiencing every day, and how we can do things to give back and try to shrink that gap.
Tonight will be a success if you expand your understanding of poverty and the context and the nexus of poverty and innovation. It will be a success if you're inspired, if you're encouraged, if you're challenged, and maybe even a little ticked off. And it'll be a success if you're spurred to do something, anything, to action and to solving some of our region's greatest issues.
The problem that we're facing right now, we're facing the problems with individuals who are in homes that are being rented. Being in Silicon Valley is a blessing. We're surrounded by Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, you named it. All the top tech companies are here in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley. But with that comes employees that come to the area. And one thing I must say that we have not done a good job of in Silicon Valley is creating housing. You cannot invite hundreds of thousands of people into your area for jobs without creating additional housing. And when that happens, we are pushing those out of the community.
There was actually an article in the Chronicle, I think it was like last week, talking about the tech shuttle drivers and how a number of them are actually sleeping in cars because their pay at, in the mid $30,000 range is not enough to afford housing. Basically, they're working full-time jobs and they're homeless. And I was talking with one of my coworkers about this. He was like, in Flint, Michigan, this would be a really good job. 35 in the mid-30s, that would be a decent job. Yep. And he was shocked. And he was shocked that $35,000 makes you homeless here.
We have a major systemic issue. 95% of the wealth that's been generated, I read the statistic recently, since 2008 has gone to the top 1% in this country. We are seeing a massive economic shift. It takes fewer and fewer workers to produce the same unit of economic output. And that should, in theory, be a wonderful thing. We need fewer people to toil away to produce the same output. What that means is fewer workers are getting wages. And so our entire economic system is shifting, partly because of innovation that's happening here in Silicon Valley. And our political structures and our tax system hasn't evolved apace with that change. And I think that's the key issue. And so we can be as effective as we want with our altruism, but fundamentally, philanthropy, I think, skirts the major issue, which is these systemic changes need to happen.
Every employee that a company in the Bay Area hires and pays the highest wage has an indirect cost in low-income and underserved communities. And I think, really savvy, thoughtful people recognize that. And if you're not actually in the community and doing the work and trying to level the playing field and make sure that this rising tide is lifting all boats, then you're not actually being a responsible sort of citizen in a community, just period, not necessarily even just a corporate citizen.
What was amazing to me was in California, I couldn't even file a certificate of incorporation that had a social purpose in it, which is why I went out and got a bunch of people together to change the law in California, because that's absurd. Why can't an entrepreneur who wants to have a social impact write that into their charter? It's absurd that they can't. And what's amazing is once I got in front of a bunch of elected officials, to the Republicans, I was the answer to big government, and to the Democrats, I was the answer to big business. Everybody was in support of it. And I think as long as we look at the opportunity to create and encourage business entrepreneurs who are starting businesses with a vision of having a positive social impact, I think we're on to something.
Well, we had a wonderful event tonight. I was so thrilled to have all these people come out and talk about, you know, poverty and innovation and the intersection of all those things. You know, the biggest outcome for me actually is getting people involved in the conversation. You know, part of AbelWorks' vision is to create venues and create opportunities for people just to come and be thoughtful and be deliberate about asking some of the big questions that are impacting our society and our region. So tonight was a great success. We had a phenomenal group of panelists who are world class, and hopefully great things will come out of this, and we'll move forward in serving some of the most underserved and most undervalued people in our community.
I really respect a lot of the other panelists that I got to share the stage with. Lila John is an incredible social entrepreneur, and Justin you know, represents Google, which has had a huge impact in the area, and is, you know, sort of struggling to figure out what's the best way to engage with the broader Bay Area community. So it was such an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this event this evening. To be able to sit down and have a conversation about the issues that are affecting our region, such as housing, diversity, job creation, all the things that they were talking about on the stage was very important and critical. I would love to see this conversation with some of the residents in the low-income communities such as East Palo Alto, so that this crowd, a more diverse crowd, can hear what's happening there, and it can be a broader conversation.
I actually recently graduated from college and I studied architecture, and so a lot of the points that really grabbed my attention were to do with affordable housing and just some of the nuances of how policy and zoning law specifically has a direct effect on who gets to live.
Thank you so much for putting this on. This was a really great event. I think we all enjoyed the panelists very much so. A wide variety of different types of experiences, different backgrounds, but we were also able to take it straight to home and talk about some of the issues that we're seeing and some of us are also experiencing very personally.
I thought this was an excellent forum. I really think they started to get at some of the fundamental issues facing Silicon Valley, the systematic inequalities that corporations are dealing with in an indirect way and communities are in a very direct way. And I think the greater understanding we can have about these larger influences, the better we can all start rowing in the same direction towards just solutions.